name's Claude Deppa. I'm a trumpet player from South Africa. Been living in the UK for 13 years and just did an amazing set with the Afro City Swingsters. If you weren't there, you missed out. Improvisation was something I learned as a kid. And we didn't call it improvisation at the time, we just called it playing. You would go and it developed the sense of time, harmony, and awareness of what everybody else is doing. When you have overlapping patterns, you've got to be aware of what everybody at the end of the line is doing, because you cannot just steam through and do what you want. So improvising for me is more a development, an evolving sense, rather than a, hey, look at me, aren't I good? And yes, jazz has driven artists to want to show off themselves, show off their skills within the solo, within the improvised section. And that's good. I mean, it's great because we have great horn players, all musicians, and I'm not just saying the horn players tend to take the majority of the solos, but you can't take a solo if the rhythm section is not sitting underneath you and are absolutely rock solid. And they are also improvising, because whilst they're playing the sequence, they are developing the sequence and becomes organic, like a natural yogurt. You'll start off with a little bit and you'll eat some, and what you do is tomorrow you just add some more milk and it becomes that organic thing again. And for me, that is the real sense of improvising, rather than just, hey mommy, look at me, because that you can only do so many times, whereas you can be organic every time. My influences were big. It's hard to define them. I mean, I hail from a musical family, a complete musical dynasty. My grandfather had a brass band and he had a choir. So I actually learned to walk with a cornet as a third leg. And I wanted to play the trombone as a kid, but my grandfather wouldn't allow me, because as a kid, bam, trombone out of action. So I then went and played the drums, and I played the drums for years. So when I came to England, it was like, okay, the drums are great, there's a lot to pack away. So it was like, what do I play that's loud, prominent, but light? The trumpet! And because I grew up in the brass band, you know, that was it. I mean, to explain the dynasty, my grandfather had a brass band and a choir. My mother's younger brother was the bandmaster for the South African Police Band in Bishop Lavis, 1969 to 1974, 75, when they said to him, oh, you're an officer, you can hand out the rifles. And he went, no, I'm not, I'm a musician. And he resigned, you know. And so my influences are big and varied. The sound of the trumpet, my sound is big. That my initial voice came from the brass band. You had to play out in the open, and in the open your sound just went and went. So you learned to create a sound so big that you could hear it before it's gone. And then I came over to England and I had a trumpet teacher called Bob Bell, a great Yorkshireman, and he had a sound like, just like megatons. And I went, yeah, that's what a trumpet sounds like. And since then, there have been many. Cat Anderson, lead trumpet player with Duke Ellington. Before Cat Anderson, Satchmo, another one, big sound. Before Satchmo, there was Buddy Bolden. In fact, I wrote a tune for Buddy Bolden called Blues for Buddy, because he was the trumpet player, I believe, who, if you played on the south side, you could hear him on the north side. And for me, that is the sound of a trumpet. It's an instrument for warning. It's an instrument to send information long distances. he's coming. There's only 14 of them, and you could muster your troops. But it's an instrument for signaling long distances, and for that, it's got to have a big sound, and that's where my sound comes from. How would I describe jazz? Jazz is in fact the only international music. Everybody has traditional music, and Duke Ellington said this many, many years ago. Jazz is classical African music. There are traditional musics all over the world, indigenous musics all over the world. But the one thing that holds the classical, and by saying classical, it's having the form to be extremely articulate on what the composer has written for you to play. You can play music that the composer has been dead 300 years. Classical music is fine. Whereas with traditional music, folk music, you can also play tunes that the composer has been dead many years. But to make it modern, and this is where jazz steps into its own, you find that the composers are still alive. Most of them usually are on stage because we play music by people who've been composed or people we've been alive with. Like we did tonight, we did Judy Pukwan's music, we did Mongezi Phase's music, we did Dollar Brand's music, and Dollar, fortunately, he's still alive. Dudy passed away, yet I played with Dudy for many years. I played with Chris McGregor. I was fortunate to have met, never played with Mongezi Phase, but through Mongezi Phase, I played with Louis Maholo. But it's that essence of from the creator to the artist to the audience. And now Blakey said that many times too. From the creator to the artist to the audience. And it's making that cycle complete. And that's what jazz does, I suppose, differently from classical music. Because the classical music that's played today, it's the modern stuff where the composer is there. The artist really only follow the pen, what's written on the pen. Today we did some rehearsals and I went, no, that phrase sounds, let's phrase it like this. And that's it. It's bringing that, again, it's bringing that organic thing into the music, and it's what makes the music live.
Exactly.
Earn as you learn.
Okay.
Always be on the edge. Miles used to say this to his musicians: don't just practice it. Do the stuff you practice, do it on stage. And that's what we mean by earn as you learn. Put it right on the edge. You're there, you're creating, you're making it, it's wrong. Oh yeah, that sounded good. And if you're on that level, and it does take a lot out of you, it takes a hell of a lot out of you. But all I can say to any musician, no matter what field you're going to go into, one, make sure you love what you do. And if you're not loving it, you're in the wrong place. Go to the slaughterhouse and kill chickens. And the second thing is, love yourself. Just love what you do, love yourself, and you will develop everything that you want to do. My biggest achievement today?
Yeah.
Just finished the set I did.
Great.
Because that showed me how much people love what I do. Yes, last week I played somewhere else and people showed me that. But gee, tomorrow I'll be dead. So tonight was my biggest achievement. And if you can turn people on every time you take that horn out and go, there's nothing better than that. When you hear people go, yeah! You do a little thing, and you get that wrong note, and people are there with you, and they go like, that was wrong, but that was nice. But that is it. My biggest achievement was what I just finished doing.
Correct.
The sweat on the shirt. That was my biggest achievement. I'd love to be remembered for making people happy. If I can make people happy every day of my life, I'm a Buddha. And musically, that's what I think I've been placed on this earth to do. Just to make people happy. Nah!
Great.
Hi, my name is Claude Deppa, and you watching Leicester Jazz House TV.